Hey folks, Phil Gallagher of ThrabenU here for a vintage video. Oh yeah, this video is supported by nobody. I just saw a list on Twitter that I wanted to play, and so I downloaded it, and we're doing this. Jacob is boss 4-0'd with this list in a prelim, I think yesterday. I saw this on Twitter and went, yeah, this is my jam. So this is a green-white Eldrazi build, barely green. Like there's 3 copies of Once Upon a Time, which we can cast off of Brushland and Horizon Canopy, as well as like technically Lotus Petal and a Mox, as well as 1 Collector Oof in the sideboard. But this is basically a mono-white Eldrazi deck with just an ever so tiny bit of garnish as well. This is actually surprisingly similar to what we just tried out in Legacy. I think it'll be yesterday for all of you. This is trying the same sort of tech with Elite Spellbinder and Thought-Knot Seer, but since we have a little bit more fast mana, we can try to do some other broken things as well as go a little bit higher up on the curve reasonably. So the various White Eldrazi and Humans decks in Legacy all have the same problem. They pound the ever-loving crap out of things that aren't shops and then just fold over and fucking die to shops. Because shops tends to go faster and harder, and also tends to be either as aggressive or more aggressive, or you just get blown out by the utility of Golos in the late game. It's just not good. So I've split the sideboard into 2 columns here. The first column is fuck shops, and the second column is fuck dredge. Otherwise, main deck's perfect, and we shouldn't need a sideboard. I'm only somewhat joking here. We will really bully blue decks with like Thalia, Thorns, Revokers, Archons, Spellbinders, Thought-Knot Seers. A huge portion of the time, these things will ignore counter spells as well. This deck should be pretty powerful. Folks, if you enjoy vintage content, please throw me a like, maybe a comment before we get started here. Help me justify playing more vintage on the channel. And if you really want to support vintage content, donation information as well as this deck list is available in the video description. Throw me some donations for vintage, and I will be happy to get into the trenches and play. All right. Obviously, since I'm doing a vintage video today, the next thing in the legacy queue will be pushed back to Monday, which I think is Painter. I'm going to be keeping this hand. We'll have some different possibilities for how exactly I can play it out, but I do have the possibility of turn 1 Thought-Knot Seer. All right. Full disclosure here, I'm a little rusty at Vintage. It's been a couple of months since I've really gone hard on Vintage. Forgot to sub out my Plains art. No. Generally speaking, on Twitter, I've seen the most hate about Archon of Emeria, so I think I'm going to cast that card this turn. Daze is less of a thing in Vintage, but like I can still respect it here. Ice. I think I can always yield that. Fails never fails. Tails never fails. Ah, see, told you. I'm gonna cast something big, dumb, and fat here. Right. Probably taking the breach here. Seeing as like the deck is named after that card. Vamp Tutor obviously pretty good, but slow. Like, the Breach doesn't do a ton with Archon in play already. And, like, maybe I should just take the Vamp Tutor for that reason. I was told Tails never fails. I would like a refund. I think I'm going to Elite Spellbinder here. 4, 7, 8, 9. Pretty good in terms of a clock. I'm still going to take the Vamp Tutor here. Now, this isn't permanently gone, but it becomes like a 3-mana Vamp Tutor. I don't know. Maybe leaving the Vamp Tutor is fine because the life loss is damning. I honestly just played this card because it has the highest power stat of the cards that I have available to me. Oh, that's quite good. We're just kind of piling on the hate here. Is there any reason to cast Thalia over Trinisphere? Probably not. Like, I don't expect these creatures to go bye-bye or anything. Sure. Alright, so we're playing against Breach. So, do I want to play Leylines? Is basically the question. Oof is fine to stop, like, Black Lotus-based loops. Sometimes these decks do a Tinker-based plan for most sideboard games, or maybe it's even available in the main deck. I'm not 100% confident on lists. But honestly, we're pretty well geared to bully these sorts of decks based on what's in my main deck. Like, the worst card in my main deck is probably Elite Spellbinder because it's slower than other stuff. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to Leyline. Like, is that unnecessary? It might just be unnecessary with the giant pile of hate that I have, and I might just be diluting my deck. I'm going to trim a Once Upon a Time for a Collector Oof. And probably call it good from there. I could trim other Once Upon a Times. Or the Containment Priest if I want to play around a Tinker a little bit. But I don't exactly have manipulation for those cards. I think I can just call this okay. Doot. Alright, my opponent has mulled to 5. I have kept a very powerful opening hand that has 2 very strong pieces of artifact mana. We'll get a turn 1 Archon as well. Woohoo! Aren't you fancy? I am also fancy. I don't think I need to play around a Spell Pierce effect. I want to hold my land drop for as long as possible. I think it is better to play Archon on turn 1 than to play Reality Smasher on turn 1. I think my individual life points don't matter. I'm going to play Horizon. No, I'll play Marshland. I played out this Archon. Sorry, I played out this Mana Crypt, which doesn't actually do me any good this turn. Hardcast a Force of Will. So I might end up taking a couple of points of damage to the Mana Crypt that I didn't need to take. Or Lightning Bolt's fine. Like I have a follow-up Reality Smasher next turn. Plus Wasteland. That's pretty gross. Never punished. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I need 8 to do both of these. I think I don't Reality Smasher. The Archon's just disgusting here. Casual billion damage to myself. NBD. Oh man, can you answer another one? Can't answer another one. Alright. Now we're in business. We have my opponent on a 3-turn clock. Cast that on my opponent's turn if I'm willing to lose life. Oh? Sure. Am I getting a Lotus and a Fatal Push for my second Archon? That's pretty nice. I think I'm willing to take the damage here. I realistically have my opponent on a 2-turn clock. Third Archon. I've broken their spirit. So this Black Lotus card is used to cast Archon of Emeria, right? That's what this card was designed for? And our opponent's land is going to enter tapped, and then we're going to fucking wasteland it. Let's go! Card is just disgusting on turn 1. Because, like, your Bazaars and your Workshops and your fetch lands, all that shit just enters tapped. Not that. But that's their one spell. Like, that's what they get. Mm. Mm. I can just waste that. Like, casting the Thorn is also good, but this probably dog piles on harder. Especially since I have, like, 2 more land drops remaining. Oh, okay. Fine. I gave you some food. We'll get to you. I think I can just take my time, though. I'm not going to play my cavern out yet. I don't know, like, whether or not, like, naming human or Eldrazi will be more important. The Thorn basically undoes the Deathrite Shaman advantage in terms of mana. Deathrite Shaman is still like a Planeswalker. You know, they can still get value by eating spells, but got an okay amount of like vice grips going. Vintage decks are a little lighter on on average than legacy decks are. So my bullshit tends to stick around. Sure. Yep. So this is guaranteed to just resolve right now due to Thorn of Amethyst. I think I'm gonna just resolve this. Oh, I do need to play a land first. All right. So I'll name Eldrazi with this one. I just want a threat to play next turn. Thought-Knot Seer is cool. Take a Thought-Knot Seer. Once Upon a Time has felt good thus far. Like, filtering into the correct creature that I need in the mid-game here. The mid-game, that is turn 3. Was pretty nice. Armorglyph, not quite an issue yet, but it'll have a big butt. There's some worlds where I get a little bit out mid-ranged here. Armorglyph's currently a 3/4, so like I'm currently checking the appropriate boxes, but there's no sorcery in graveyard yet. And that's like sorceries are common. Also no creature. Yeah, 3/4 Tarmogoyf. Add human for variety. Go with Eldrazi here. Yeah, I know. Abrupt Decay just scarier than Vamp Tutor? Abrupt Decay takes out my evasion. Preordain's annoying because it's free. That grows Tarmogoyf. I don't know. Maybe I need to just let them keep the decay. I lose Archon. Nah, that Tarmogoyf gets too big. Alright, I'm gonna take decay. I definitely going to want the resource, the plowshares that are in the sideboard. That's what I'll be sideboarding in the match. Starting to get a wee bit nervous in terms of my ability to close this game. My stuff's uncounterable, and if the Goyf attacks in, I crack back pretty hard with Reality Smasher. I do need to draw another land to cast it. Thalia as a backup is not the end of the world. This is the 4/5 Goyf that can wall Thought-Knot Seer. Alright, my opponent is bottoming with that, and then cracking in with the confirmed 4/5 Goyf, no blocks. Okay, quick damage check. If I deal 2 to myself, I go to 8. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Block is obligated. I don't think I win by sitting back. Let's see if my opponent messes up some combat math and just like doesn't realize that I take 2 here. I could also hold back 1 creature and chump block. Is that better? Do I win more by doing that rather than the Hail Mary? If I do it, I probably have to leave back multiple. Let's make this attack. Then I just don't immediately die. Weird, because my opponent eating things also has an impact on the size of the Tarmogoyf. No creature in graveyard for them to eat. Game a little weird. Okay, my opponent just exiled a land for mana and cast Vampiric Tutor. This will put them to 4 life. See what sort of sweet thing they have going on. Yep, Oh shit, they're gonna time walk. Not used to counting extra turn math. Yeah. Alright. I was trending towards defeat anyway, I think, but maybe I could have played around that in some way a little bit better. Yeah, I think we're just going 3 swords to plowshares in. I've never thought Chalice is particularly great versus bug decks. It's just not a permanent answer. They have things like Decay that gets rid of it, and this deck has like Tarmogoyf and stuff that's really what I'm afraid of. I also don't want to put this on 1 and then shut off my swords to plowshares. Then Once Upon a Time, maybe? Trimming like that. I could also trim 1 Thalia. Like, I'm really looking to finish with Reality Smasher and Flyers rather than something like this. This is just something that's easy to cast early on. Don't think it matters too much. What's important is that I'm bringing the swords to plowshares in. Yes. I keep this. I don't know how to play this hand. Probably Trinisphere turn 1. Like, when you can play the restricted card, you should probably play the restricted card. Just Trinisphere on turn 1, Thought-Knot Seer on turn 2. It was pretty gross. Yeah, I think that's going to be my plan. Alright. Yeah. Yeah. Alright, we did not pass the force check. Dazed. That's fine. A white source would be cool. Then I can like Thorn and Archon or Thorn and Thalia. 4 mana. What did Preordain do? Top. I think I need the body here. I am going to do a lot of self-damage. And I think the easiest way for me to win this one is to just go Thought-Knot Seer. Oh, yikes. Collector Oof's really good. Collector Oof and Tarmogoyf are both really good. Goyf's a 3-4 currently. Be a 4-5 as soon as my opponent fetches. I don't think I can beat Collector Oof with my mana crypt being shut off with how this hand looks. Like, Tarmogoyf is the card that I want to take in a vacuum, but I think I need to take Oof in this spot. There is also a world where my opponent just like fetches and decays my mana crypt here rather than playing Tarmogoyf. At any cost? Greatness at any cost? I could just play a Thorn. My opponent says that crypt, traitor crypt. My cards are painful. I go to 6. Tarmogoyf can attack me down to 2. Play Reality Smasher. I don't know that I can do that. That said, like, this Abrupt Decay could mean that, like, my Mana Crypt just dies. I don't know, my opponent might keep it around to just kill me with it. I don't have that many turns. Like, I could just die in the next turn cycle. If I just go, like, double tap Ancient Tomb, Goyf attacks me, I take it, and Mana Crypt kills me. Alright. Draw was not ideal in many ways. So the line that I'm currently playing towards is draw a white source off the top of the deck so that I can play a white chump blocker for Tarmogoyf, and my opponent also doesn't draw a land. That's a lot going right. I think that's where I'm at. Ha! Fuck Time Walk. I'm not literally dead to that, but I'm effectively dead to that. Between like my Mana Crypt and jumping with Thought-Knot Seer, I don't have outs at that point. I've kept an opening hand with a Mana Crypt and a bunch of different options for what I can do as this game goes on. This hand is totally fine. Here? Yeah, I am going to cast a fucking pile of Thought-Knot Seers. This'll be fine. I'll take Mana Crypt as my one spell this turn. Oh, fuck, I should have played a different land. Literally any other land. Because they're going to enter tapped. Alright, I did the one thing that did not allow me to play a Thought-Knot Seer on turn 2. Well, oh. I wonder if it was just better to remind me than to do that. I have to break legacy heuristic patterns. Like, I'm so used to just, like, autopilot lead on the basic. It's safe from Wasteland. That was something that was very punishing here. I don't want to take damage from this. I'm going to let my opponent strip mine that if they want. Oh, my mistake was super bad. I can't beat myself up about it like I did it. But not having a Thought-Knot Seer to trade with my opponent's Thought-Knot Seer this turn is kind of rough. Well, that card's good. Yeah. Now their Thought-Knot Seer outpaces my Thought-Knot Seer. Yeah, I think I'm straight up dead. Now I lose the Ancient Tomb here. At least get some more information about my... Giving away this piece of information more valuable than just conceding here. No, I'll go ahead and play this. So for example, if my opponent actually does have blue cards, I would like to know about those. I don't think they will. I think that's just a land, but they could have like Time Walk or something crazy like that. Okay. I mean, now I know. We're very dead though. I think my opponent's hand was set up well to beat me, even if I did play that one out properly. All right. I think this is a time where I start with what comes out. So I mostly care about bodies here. So I think these three cards come out first for the 3 Swords to Plowshares. And then this stuff is in that pile of cards that I can play. Like some of this stuff like Thalia and Once Upon a Time can be a little here. Like the big bruisers and the first person who can stick an Archon, those are probably the things that matter the most. I think I'm just going to call this good and run this plan. Three, 4, 5, 6, 7 on turn 1. Keep 3, 4, 5, 6, yeah, 7 on turn 1 with turn 2 Wasteland. That'll do, pig. That'll do. So I am thought knotting another one of these things away. I think I'm going to take... I want my opponent to never have Swords to Plowshare, so I'll take that with Thought Knots here. I'll just take their Lotus like this, make it cost 2 mana. It's a pretty broken turn 1. The fact that I have Wasteland to back this all up is just absurd, to be honest. This is the fair version of getting vintaged. All. Yep. The velocity I had was just absolutely absurd and about the best that you could possibly ask for. It looks like my opponent is doing some re-sideboarding, so they might be doing something like putting Chalice or Trinosphere or Thorn back in when they're on the play if they're doing something similar to what I'm doing. Or they might, have more information about my deck after seeing a few more cards. I'm looking at a literal 7-lander. So this hand has 4 power on turn 1 and 1 dead white card in hand. Is this acceptable? My opponent has gone to 5. This might be acceptable. I might just shut off artifact mana from my opponent and then steal an easy one. How many white sources do I actually have? I guess I should check that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. That's not great. I guess similarly, how many banger colorless cards do I have? 8. Nine, 10. Sketch. I don't know if I'm supposed to keep this. This kind of feels like a shop's hand where I vomit some power and hope to, follow it up with disruption, and that's good enough. Yes. Huh? Well, shit. All right, who in the audience was expecting that? It wasn't me. I can draw a Swords to Plowshares and a white source. This is also just Vigilant, which is a beating here. Yikes. I don't think I will be playing the Mana Crypt. So I don't want to name a white source like Black Lotus here, because I need to hit Swords to Plowshares plus white source, and I don't want to turn off one of my white sources. Okay. So it is worth it to pay 1 life to cast this. I can cash it in as a jump blocker on a future turn. I'll take the next hit for 6, though. I want this in play to slow my opponent's development if they start drawing into other lines. I'm not so worried about just doing 32 to my opponent if I can take this off the table. Classic. That is my opponent's 1 spell, so now I can just revoke Black Lotus. Which is nice, I guess. All right. I will chump block this turn, because if I take this hit for 6, I can't actually tap this for white for the Swords to Plowshares out. Not a legendary creature. That is a shame. Alright, it's time to cycle this. Now that I have a new white source. That's no good. I get one more draw. Not want to Mana Crypt. Play Thought-Knot Seer. It is not worth it. Don't want to die to my own Mana Crypt. I probably cannot play this card this game. Well, that buys another turn. Definitely a little annoying. But I got to vintage my opponent last game. They got to vintage me this game, but I am playing the more outs than they were playing too. Like, this is turn 6. I'll get a turn 7 here, I think. Alright, like, I can Cavern and Thought-Knots here, but I am dead here, and my opponent is at 50 life. We're not coming back. Alright, I believe we are playing against Dredge here. This opening hand doesn't really do anything. I'm going to mulligan and try to find something a little bit more proactive. This one is turn 1 Thalia into turn 2 Elite Spellbinder. Can I do better in game 1 versus Dredge? Archon be considerably better. This is an okay hand. It's not great. Do I want to fish for great? Probably want to fish for great. Okay, I get to keep 4 of these. And I'm not super good against the whole Dredge side of the equation here. I think I'm just going YOLO on turn 1 Reality Smasher. Not where I wanted to be. Oh. Well, we're going to turn him sideways. It's an aggressive start. It's not great. Especially since I pitched a couple of colorless cards down to the bottom of the deck. But I do think this is better than a turn 1 Thalia hand. I have 6 graveyard hate cards. Yeah, 4 ley lines, 2 priests. And probably will board in swords. Well. It begins. All right, so we are playing against Squee version. Those will come back for value and make my life a little bit harder. Okay, I don't know if I have any Revoker targets that super matter. Like Street Wraith? Street Wraith is what comes to mind. Alright. I'm gonna look at some lists real quick. Alright. So there's a chance this is the hybrid deck that is playing both Bazaar and Workshop. And I think if this is a traditional dredge deck, I don't gain a lot by naming like Street Wraith. I'm gonna name the Walking Ballista. That's in the hybrid version. I don't know if that's right. Alright. We bounces. Okay, Serum Powder. Double Squee. I'm scared. Like, this Reality Smasher either needs to go the full way, or I need a second Reality Smasher. Otherwise, I'm presuming that Aaron is also streaming currently. Yeah. That's fine. It's not great for me, but it's fine. Alright, good job, Mana Crypt. This Bazaar is gonna do. They're just soaking up damage. Good with that. The double squee here is so much card draw. I also would like to see if my opponent like actually has some workshops or something. Yep, okay. All was correct. Other call was correct. I think I'm donezo. I think she is the beatdown now. Although there's like double reality smasher sorts of situations to think about. I want to kill this bridge. I don't want to turn on that walking ballista. So does make my reality smasher attack kind of better. That, like, given this mana, that walking ballista is actually probably not all that problematic. I'll make this exchange. Shit, Leyline. That had mentally gone into the category of I don't care about this. Alright, so I can hold this top deck a Reality Smasher, and then question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark. Yeah. Not a bad game for a mull to 4, though. I assume I mostly sideboard for the graveyard side of this deck rather than the Bazaar side. I think the artifact side is like mostly like null rods and stuff. Like null rods, thorns, the sort of stuff that doesn't impact me. So I think I treat this like a dredge style deck. And just like respect Walking Ballista when I can with Phyrexian Revokers. Probably board in like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 cards. Electroof, I guess, is also interesting. But maybe worse for me than for her. I am not sure if I have many outs outside of second Reality Smasher and my opponent making an all-out attack. I'm trying not to read too much into the pauses here because my opponent is likely streaming, and so like she's probably chatting rather than like tanking on what the decision here is. Okay, so because of the Walking Ballista, my blocks aren't great here. The Walking Ballista can be converted into a 2/2 zombie if I block, but my opponent can do that anyway by shooting me and then doing it. I'll force that. Although if my opponent doesn't see shooting to make a zombie, and I top deck the Reality Smasher, it's actually just better for me to not block, to play towards the line of them missing something. Yeah, I think that's where I'm at. I'm going to play towards the line of them missing something. My situation is not good. Like, the squeeze are going to bury me. There's also Mana Crypt. My Mana Crypt could kill me. Alright. Oh, yeah, I can concede to that. That beats me handily. I do want to see what I draw. I just want to know if it's the Reality Smasher. It's not. Concede. Alright, so much for that that colorless stuff that I said wasn't going to impact me much. That was a fine game for a multi 4 though, no complaints. Alright. Really, what does Priest do here? Priest do anything? So Priest stops Vengevine. Priest doesn't stop Hollow One. Priest doesn't stop Bridge from Below. The squeeze don't enter the battlefield. They go to hand, so that doesn't stop that. So containment priest stops bench fine. Okay. Okay, what don't I want? I don't think I want Chalice. I don't think I want Thorn. Like, my opponent's not casting that many spells. That many non-creature spells, rather. Maybe by similar logic. Non-negotiable, these 7 need to come in. And then some of this other stuff is worth consideration, probably not that. Walking Ballista is very good against me. I probably need to respect that more. Thalia the weak link? Thalia might be the weak link. Thought here is a little slow too, but it can strip squeeze. And it's just a big body that can rumble. Doesn't have evasion. I don't want to cut my flyers. How does this look? Keep the Once Upon a Time to help find answers to land. These oofs are awkward. I have so much artifact mana. But Ballista stuff. Eh. This hand's awkward. This hand has 3 mana on turn 1, but it can't cast Archon. On turn 1. I'm going to ship this. This hand is fine. The Thought-Knots here will go back with this hand. Alright, my opponent has Serum Powdered. Ley lines are still there. Valuing Bridge from Below, or maybe alternatively, she doesn't actually have that many sideboard cards for this matchup. I could buy that as well. I think I am willing to take 1 damage to not show Wasteland on turn 1. We'll see. If she has like a shop space opener, I could still be in a relatively large amount of trouble. Alright, a Bazaar has hit play and been activated. So hopefully Wasteland does Wasteland things. Take that out for the filtering it provides. Second one on Walking Ballista. I'm scared. I'm not sure if I trade 2 Revokers for Hollow 1 if Hollow 1 attacks as X1s. but it may be correct too. I don't think I need to make that decision this turn. I think we can trade damage here. Race favors my opponent, but I'm more likely to draw something that changes the equation, I think. And if I can do something like trade a Thalia and a Revoker for Hollowed One rather than Revoker, I like that. Good thing I'm probably only tapping this brush land once, though, by the way. Just tapping it twice would change the clock. Aha! Alright, so that revokes my Mox Jet. Sure. Alright. Are you still the beatdown? You are not the beatdown. I need more spells. I think I need to hold my lands. Alright. Holding pattern it is. Mox Jet is revoked, so I can't cast Elite Spellbinder. Which, just as a flying body, would be totally legit right now. Turns a land card. Turning Strip Mine is gross. Okay. Right. That's fine. I do wonder if this is better than going after my mana, though. I don't think it matters. I think this is the effective end for me. I needed to either hit a land there and get this flyer that could trade with Stonecoil Serpent, or maybe something like a Luminarch Aspirant, or a Source of Plowshares in this turn cycle. But without those things, I don't think I'm getting there. Alright, a Walking Ballista. Sure. Sure. I don't know why we did this pre-combat. I've been holding this wasteland, so I'm very unlikely to snap it off mid-combat. Yeah, if you had made this attack in a minute ago, I might have blocked differently. I don't really know what my outs are. I'm just overwhelmed here. I probably need to trade with this hollow one, or it's going to be an abyss in future turns. But like I trade here, and then I lose the first striker, so Revoker and Ballista are able to attack in. And I'm not really sitting on top decks that are great. Like, top decking a land just means it gets strip mined. Yeah, that's not going to be good enough. I guess I can wasteland strip mine. Oh. I take 6 damage this turn. I go to 3. And try to trade Revoker for Ballista, Wasteland, Strip Mine, Top Deck Land. I run Chalice on 0 by playing this out, I think. Yeah, I'm just outsized in terms of creatures. This is the same sort of thing that happens in the Shops matchup, and she has like a Shops here, which is why I am struggling. All right, attack in with 2 creatures. I will trade for the Ballista here. That puts me to 6. My jet's still off, unfortunately. We have a Bazaar of Baghdad activation now. And draw Ancient Tomb. Ancient Tomb, go to 4, trade these. Take 2 Ancient. Like life is bad. Where's my concede button? Yeah. That was an uphill fight for most of the game. GG's. I have a little bit of an awkward opening hand here. This is another one of those times where I can have 3 mana on turn 1, but not actually take advantage of white 3-drops. That said, I think this hand is still good. Like, I have 2 restricted cards in this hand. I think a turn 1 Chalice on 1, turn 2 Thought-Knot Seer, probably turn 3 Reality Smasher is a fine hand. I think this ends up going up on Eldrazi, given the texture of this hand, but we'll see. Alright, strike that. Alright, you have your Chalice. I have mine. I don't know what my opponent is playing. Like, oh, blue shops. We're just getting kind of bullied tonight. So non-artifact spells. So this costs 4 now. This costs 5. This costs 6. Without the artifact mana, this is hard. Can't cast a Once Upon a Time. So we lost a pseudo mirror. We lost to what I'll call shops, but you know, shops in air quotes, and we'll probably lose to this shops deck as well. Like we want to be playing against the combo decks of the formats, the breaches, the paradoxical outcomes, the really the non-bug Xerox decks. Tarmogoyf is problematic specifically. What's a good name for my opponent? That's fine, but that's off currently. Fuck, my opponent's hand is insane. Yeah. I think I am just dead. Comfortable conceding here, unfortunately. My opponent has 7 power in play. I don't get to do anything on my 2-turn clock. Not happening. Alright. 9 cards to board in for this matchup because it's rough. Alright. Out. Out. Still out? Question mark. Probably still out. Like I need to make 9 slots up here. This 9. That's 7. Save these. Sort this by CMC. Sorry, mana value in 2021 now. Elite Spellbinder could be slow. I'm not sure. Fuck it. Let's go. I am keeping this hand because of Triple Wasteland. Hitaki's cool and all, but like this plus this is a plan. Naked Kataki on its own is not a plan. I'll blow it up. Yes. Go on. I don't think there's any sort of dismember effect, but I guess I should have considered other orders. Yep. Alright. Famous last words, huh? God damn it. That's... It's recurring Mishra's Workshop through my triple Wasteland hand and like Wasteland Lock as well simultaneously. That is just absolutely a kick in the pants. Huh? Uh-huh. Cool. Gonna get Caracas to bounce Golos and repeat this process. Yeah, we're done. Well, I guess I can Swords to Plowshares it before the Caracas is untapped. Doesn't even make sense to make a land drop here. I guess there's a world where my opponent just like does not have another creature and I hit them with Revokers for 2, then 4, then 4, then 4, then 4. Well, it doesn't fix every problem, but it helps. I still get Wastelanded. My opponent still Crucibles. My opponent will still have 6 power on board post Serenity. You gain nothing by doing that there. You can wait. I will be blocking. I just want to keep my life total high. I'm still going to have the tail end of Wormcoil Engine to be thinking about. Well, that's not bad. Alright, maybe I am in this one. The spirit is broken, but the board doesn't look nearly as bad as it did a turn or so ago. This is just a top deck war, where my opponent has larger threats than I do. Costs 1 more. I can't even be thinking about playing it yet. I'm not even sure that when I do draw a land, I can play Revoker, just because it's more important. Yeah, I think I need to play towards drawing something that can trade with this worm. But my Revoker costs 4, and my Thought-Knot Seer costs 6. Not great. That costs 7. And if I use the Lotus Petal, that pretty much forsakes my ability to cast larger stuff later. Yep. Alright, I should just be dead to that. Like, now I can't even play a 1-drop. I can play that, and then I died on board damage. Rough league. Alright, overall thoughts on the deck list. I think the matchups that we hit were not the best. Get everything on here. Like, we played against a mirror, which is well, a mirror where my opponent had Tinker and tinkered on turn 1. We played against 2 Shops decks, and Shops is very easily the worst matchup, like I said in the deck tech. And then Tarmogoyf is a little tricky but beatable. So I don't think we got the best range of matches that we're looking for. Again, we're looking for things like Breach and PO. Haven't played against Doomsday much with a build like this one, but when I was playing with it previously, that matchup was pretty good too. Elite Spellbinder seems medium in Vintage. I've heard some people hyping this up. I haven't been overly impressed by this card in basically any format. Like, I think the card looks okay in Legacy Espervile, but otherwise I've been pretty unimpressed by it. It's awkward to have a bunch of, like, 2 colorless, 1 white cards, because on your Ancient Tomb hands, where you have a piece of artifact mana, a lot of times that doesn't actually make 3 mana. That allows you to cast those cards. So that's something to keep in mind versus other versions of the deck that just have more things that are castable on colorless mana. I don't know that I would recommend this deck list. Archon felt really strong. Powering that thing out early was absolutely disgusting. Archon is the reason to be playing a deck that looks anything like this. This one was just fine. I'm not overly excited about it. My sideboard felt okay. It was maybe a card or 2 light for the bug matchup, but otherwise I felt like my boarding options were okay. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the league. If you did, please click the like button. Helps me out a lot. And if you want to support my content in some other way by, say, doing a donation deck list, all that info is in the video description, as is the deck list. Have a great rest of the day, folks. Okay, one more thing here, just to make sure that, like, I'm understood here. I do think we got bad matches today, but I also did not play perfectly, right? Like, I made plenty of micro errors that were very, very punishing with some of my sequencing and how I chose to do things. And in Vintage, a lot of those micro errors just immediately punished with a game loss. So while we did get paired against Shops twice, and Shops is a bad matchup, I did not play this league perfectly, and maybe at least one of my losses came due to actions that I made for things that were totally within my control. Okay, now have a great rest of the day.